First at 6, a man suffering a mental health crisis dies in jail after being pepper sprayed, hogtied in chains, beaten by corrections officers, and shoved face down onto the floor. But authorities tell his family and the public he died from natural causes. Apple Valley News Now's Emily Goodell tells us the family taking legal action against the county, saying it never should have happened.
It's ridiculous. It's just blatant attempts to try and cover up what was a homicide.
Attorney Richard Gilliland is representing the family of 41-year-old Hien Hua in a $50 million tort claim filed with Yakima County, arguing that his death was a systemic failure of the criminal justice system. Starting with Hua's arrest by the Yakima Police Department back in November.
Mr. Hua was taken into custody based on an alleged assault with his mother, where he was having a mental health episode.
Gilliland says he should have been taken to the hospital. Instead, he's taken to the Yakima City Jail, which refuses to admit him due to his severe mental health condition. But then he's booked into county jail.
There was an incident where it appears that force was used against him during booking.
Hua ends up in general population, but Gilliland says he should have been placed in a safer spot.
There are isolation places in the jail where a person can be in a padded cell, in cells where they're individuals so they aren't around other people.
According to the claim, Hua, still having a mental health crisis, noticed by other inmates who contacted jail staff to move him for his own safety.
Initially, one guard contacted him and very quickly decided that he was going to pepper spray Mr. Hua when he was not cooperating entirely by backing away from the guard.
An internal investigation by the jail reportedly found no wrongdoing, claiming Hua was aggressive.
It's very clear from the video at no point was he aggressive towards the guards in terms of attempting to initiate contact with them.
Gilliland says instead of officers using de-escalation techniques, Hua is tackled and hogtied with chains, because the less restrictive restraint option was reportedly being used in a training elsewhere. Hua carried out of the cell block by 3 guards.
It appears that Mr. Hua's foot was wrapped around the back guard's ankle. So the back guard began striking his calf with punches. The other 2 guards then proceeded to knee him very violently in his side, despite the fact that he was in full chains and could not do anything to them at all. They still beat him.
Despite objections from a nearby nurse.
She told them to stop and did not believe that their striking him was appropriate.
The claim says the nurse called over not to check on Hua, but to look at an officer's finger, while Hua is still on the ground.
Mr. Hua was then again held prone, and as they were holding him down, he stopped breathing. They called the nurse back over. They began CPR. They were able to revive him for a short period of time, but he subsequently passed away.
Their initial press release saying Hua suffered a medical emergency while in contact with corrections officers at the jail. The manner of death listed as natural causes, citing pre-existing heart issues.
The coroner gives the official cause of death, and the coroner, of course, just followed the initial autopsy. What exactly he knew and when he knew it, we can't say for certain.
The claim pointing to Yakima County Coroner Jim Curtis's mental health crisis, where he was taken to the hospital when Hua was taken straight to jail.
He should have been given the same treatment, the same courtesy as the county coroner, Mr. Curtis, was given.
A report to the State Department of Health about the unexpected fatality saying, quote, the committee found the overall response and handling of this unfortunate incident was professional and appropriate. All the tools and resources were utilized in the efforts to preserve the life of this defendant.
When you're working with faulty information, you can't make a really thorough or have a legitimate investigation anyway. So they didn't have all the information.
Forensic pathologist Jeffrey Reynolds says he was told it was a brief struggle, but when shown the video in July, changed his ruling from natural causes to negligent homicide, saying, quote, length and severity of struggle makes my original opinion untenable, i.e. wrong. The county, previously sued by Disability Rights Washington over substandard treatment of inmates with mental health concerns, promised to do better.
Unfortunately, it's pretty clear that despite the things that they were supposed to be doing, They weren't successful.
Gilliland says the goal behind the claim to force systemic changes so this never happens again.
This was a systemic failure on the behalf of Yakima County Jail. If these officers were trained properly, this never would have occurred. If these officers knew that this behavior was inappropriate, this never would have occurred. If these officers had followed jail policy, this wouldn't have occurred. They failed on all those fronts, and because of all of that, Hien Hua is dead.
I reached out to county commissioners and the coroner's office for comment and was directed to Yakima County prosecuting attorney Joseph Brusick, who said, quote, "I certainly appreciate your request, Emily, and know that it is important to the community. However, I simply can't discuss any decisions that were made by the county." I also reached out to jail director Jeremy Welch, who said, quote, "Due to the forthcoming litigation over this incident, I am unable to make any comments." I am speaking with other officials connected to this case, and we'll have that story at a later date. Reporting from the Yakima newsroom, Emily Goodell, Apple Valley News Now.